Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 13th episode of Live from the Adelphi PAC Living Room. My name is Blythe Thalong. I am the Executive Director at the Adelphi University Performing Arts Center. Thank you all again for joining us this week. Thank you, those of you who have been with us for weeks. Thanks to those of you who are new tonight. While some things are slowly starting to reopen, many of us continue to live aspects of our lives online, and it will be a while before we are all able to be together inside of a theater. So we are continuing to bring entertainment to you through these online shows every Monday night. We're showcasing our talented students, faculty, staff, alumni, and other guests from the worlds of dance, music, and theater every Monday at 7:30 on both Facebook and YouTube, which you know if you are watching on one of those places. So thank you again for being here. Now, our first guest this week, we're going to get right into it, is percussionist, composer, musician, and the leader of the Adelphi University concert band, Dennis Sullivan. Welcome, Dennis.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. There is a bit of a delay, but
Okay.
we're going to make it work. It's all right.
All right.
It should clear itself up in a second. It usually does. Now, where are you coming to us from tonight?
Right now I'm in Astoria, Queens, and I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between Astoria and Kerhonkson, New York, was about 100 miles north of the city. My partner and I kind of split time between the two.
Great. And that is excellent. A nice way to get a little bit of variety. That's good.
It's helpful right now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And how has your summer been going? Have you been teaching any summer classes or anything like that?
I have. I've been, I didn't teach in the first session. I had a little bit of a break, mostly did some composing and recording projects for some of my groups, trying to keep those things afloat while we're unable to take the stage, trying to do a lot of streaming concerts and recording projects and whatnot. And I've started teaching in the second summer session at Manhattan College in the Bronx, and also at the Walden School Young Musicians Program, where I first worked with Julian, who we will speak with later.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, we are going to start tonight with a performance by the concert band. Now, this is from their show back in December. So tell us a little about this first piece that we're going to hear from the concert band and this performance.
Sure. So this piece, The Light Eternal by James Swearigan, is kind of an homage to it's an old World War II story about four gentlemen who came to be known as the Four Chaplains: George Fox, Alexander Good, Clark Poling, and John P. Washington. And they also known as the Immortal Chaplains, also known as the Dorchester Chaplains. Anyway, they were aboard the SS Dorchester, which was hit by a German torpedo and sank. And as it was going down, they were said to have given their life vests and helped civilians and other troops into the lifeboats. And they, in the end, there was no room for them in the boats or in vests left, and so they went down with the ship. And they say that they linked arms and were singing hymns together as the boat sank. And so you'll hear, so the piece is an homage to them and immortalizes those four gentlemen. And halfway through, there's a quote from the hymn, God of Our Fathers.
Great. I'm looking forward to showing this to everyone. So enjoy this first piece from the Adelphi Concert Band. Fantastic job. Fantastic job. Thank you to you and to everyone, all the members of the Adelphi Concert Band. I feel like it's important to mention that it is a mix of students, faculty, staff, alumni, and some community members who just come in and like to be a part of the band. So
yeah, and that always kind of blows my mind, the commitment that I get from somebody who's working 40 hours a week and then putting in their practice, coming into these 2.5-hour rehearsals. The students as well do a great job. There are music education majors who are playing their secondary instruments who, it's really impressive. Everybody kind of brings their own situation to the table. Yeah.
It's really great. It's great to see. It's a great group that continues to grow and do fantastic work every year. So thank you for keeping that going. Sure. And I do want to say, encourage everyone to check out your website, because you are also a very accomplished musician with your own groups that you're a part of and write a lot of your own music. So please, everyone, take a minute or more to head to Dennis's website. There's a lot of great information there. There's recordings of performances he's done and some things he does with his other groups. So thank you for being here as part of this. Now, how is your preparation going for fall with band, and what are your plans there?
I have
as of whatever today is, because of course anything could happen, right?
Well, that's just it. I have quite a few scenarios in mind. And I think the idea is to be equally prepared and malleable for 3 to 5 different scenarios. And even if one plays out at the beginning of the semester, to also be ready to pivot to a different scenario at any moment. So yeah, we will see what happens, whether it's in person or remote or, but we have about 4 solid plans, and I'm trying to not try to prepare for each one, but also not definitely commit to one or the other, because it could change tomorrow. So I think about mid-August we'll probably commit to one or the other, and
at least to start with, right? Exactly. Yeah.
At least to start with, exactly.
We have a whole stack of plans for the fall in every direction. So I know you're only one of them. So great. Well, so thank you again for this. We're going to see you back in just a few minutes with another guest, and we'll be back, and I'll see you shortly.
All right.
Thanks again. Now it is my pleasure to welcome an acclaimed soprano and one of our Adelphi voice teachers, Kelly Nassif. Kelly,
hi.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this. Now, where are you coming to us from?
I am here on the east end of Long Island.
Excellent. Great. Wonderful. And how has your summer been going?
I thought that I'd have more time for study and some professional development, but I've had a very busy studio. A lot of my private students and my college students wanted to continue over the summer because they just needed to sing. And it's been great to be able to continue to make music throughout the summer.
Yeah, I'm sure there has been a lot of that, right? As everyone sort of is trying to figure out what to do with themselves and using this time in some way that isn't just sort of giving up. So that's great that you've stayed busy. So now you pre-recorded a couple of things for us there at home. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you for turning your kitchen into the best you could into a little studio. So why don't you tell us about the first of the 2 songs that we're going to hear from you tonight?
Well, just in general, I picked a couple of songs for 2 purposes. One, I wanted to feature living composers, because I think that as musicians, it's our job to not only feature the beautiful works of art that have been written over the centuries, but current artists. These 2 songs are very accessible. They're really good for young voices. Both composers live in New York. And I think it's good to have an idea, of what every generation is going through music, through poetry. And I was thinking yesterday how interesting it will be to find out what poetry and what music are going to come out of this COVID situation. featuring maybe feelings of anxiety and loneliness and isolation and deep reflection. So that will also be interesting as the years go by to see what comes out of that as well.
Absolutely.
The pieces that I selected, the first one is The Lake Isle of Innisfree, written by Ben Moore, and it's a poem by William Butler Yeats. It's one of my favorite poems. I've gone to it for decades for peace, and it talks about being out in nature. That he had a cabin at the Lake Isle of Innisfree, and he used to go there every year. And he talks about the Bealow Glade, and he talks about the wings of the linnet bird and the lapping of the lake, all things that you have to be quiet to listen to, and then taking that feeling of peace. As he said, peace comes dropping slow into our daily lives. So when we go back to the pavement's gray, that we still have that peace in our deep heart's core, that it lives there, whether we're through our busyness and through our anxiety and through, the chaos of life, that peace can live inside of us. So that's the first piece.
Great, and that's a fantastic description, and it's really a beautiful piece of music. So I am looking forward to sharing that with everyone now. Enjoy. Or not, because I hit the wrong button. All right, so here we go. Let's try this again. It's always something. Every week is an adventure. Here we go.
It's the living room.
I mean, right? Yeah. Thank you so much, Kelly. I know you were a little trepidatious about sharing something that you literally just recorded on your phone in your in your kitchen, but I think that it still, the great vocals and music still comes through even with that. So
Yeah, I have an old phone.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
I need to invest in some better equipment. I also wanted to be able to say that for both songs, the accompaniment was generously recorded for me by Maury Ortman, who is a wonderful musician who is on faculty at Adelphi. He's a coach accompanist on faculty.
Yeah, Maury is great.
He's wonderful. So I just want to thank him for allowing me to use those recordings for this purpose.
Absolutely, we appreciate it immensely. Maury has done a lot of great things for us at school, so that's fantastic and wonderful to see. And we, again, yes, we appreciate him showing that. And speaking of other recordings of your work, I do also want to make sure and encourage everyone to head to your website, which is on the screen, where they can find out much more about you, about your career, but also real professional recordings of you and your singing, or at least not, on your phone in your house. So exactly, right? I mean, so please, everyone, I do encourage you to take some time and head to Kelly's website and check out the other great work from her. We're going to hear a little more from you later in the show as well. So thank you for sticking around, and we will see you again at the end of the show.
Okay.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
And yes. So if you are interested in being a part of one of our upcoming shows, I say every week that we're doing this all summer, as much to convince myself of that as anyone. But please do, if you are an Adelphi student, faculty, staff, alum, anybody with an Adelphi connection, please, we would love to showcase you on an upcoming episode of this. Please email us at the email address you see on the screen, which is simply pac@adelphi.edu, and we will get in touch and get you scheduled for an upcoming broadcast. Now, there are, as I also have mentioned, in addition to our show every week, there are a lot of other things still going on around the university virtually that are available and are different every week, all different kinds of things happening from all sorts of areas of the university. In particular, there's still some lectures, including our Experience Adelphi series. These are a series of micro classes, we're calling them, that happen every Thursday, I think at 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoons, that are different professors from all around the university giving a little short talk about their area of expertise. These are done on Zoom, so you do need to register in advance, but they are all free. There's also other talks and conferences and other things happening around the university. So head to the website you see on your screen. That will narrow down a little from all the other virtual things going on for incoming students and things like that. So that will point you directly to our lecture and speaker series that is coming up throughout the summer. So do take a minute to check that out. Now I am happy to welcome back Dennis. He gave us a little hint of what might be to come and about his guest this evening. So welcome back, Dennis. Now this is another performance from last December's concert. Now this one is particularly special because it was the world premiere, I believe, of a new piece of music. So why don't you tell us again and give us a little history of how that connection happened and introduce our first guest.
Sure.
Or our next guest.
Absolutely. So Julian Osa was a student of mine at the Walden School Young Musicians Program, which is predominantly a composition program that takes place in the summers in Dublin, New Hampshire. And it's for ages 9 to 19. And the students study a very particular musicianship course, a composition course, and then a chosen specialty class, which kind of centers on a particular strength of a faculty member. And I've taught a performance class there that summer. That was a specialty class that Julian was a part of as a pianist. And then also he was one of my composition students.
Okay.
And yeah, Julian reached out afterwards and said, hey, would you mind looking at some of my band scores that I've written in the last couple of years? And, at the end of the semester, would there be time to like have the band do a reading? And it's like, well, why don't you write a piece? Then why don't we just go ahead and do it? Because I was in looking at his scores, I was really impressed.
Sure.
And it was a very industrious move for somebody Julian's age, and I was just so impressed with the foresight and the maturity to reach out in the way he did, and just wanted to reward that.
Well, and also to have things that are so well put together, also at such a young age, is not something you see every day, we'll say.
Nope.
So
nope.
So great. Well, luckily we have him here to tell us more about the piece and about his process. So let's bring in Julian so that we can actually see everybody.
Sorry. Hi. How are you? Thank you for having me Thank you for having me tonight.
Absolutely. We are thrilled to have you here. Now, where are you coming to us from tonight?
I'm in Edison, New Jersey.
Okay. Excellent. And now, why don't you, Dennis told us a little about how you guys came together and where you met and how this all sort of came to be. Why don't you tell us a little bit specifically about the piece of music that we're going to hear in just a minute?
Yeah. So as soon as I found out, it was over the summer when I found out that Dennis was a band director, and I was like, oh, I gotta jump on this as soon as possible. So I don't think I told him this, but there was a night where I just sketched out a bunch of little ideas for a band score, and I didn't really do anything with it. And then as he said, I shot him an email afterwards and asked him about it. And I sent him some of my older scores, but as soon as he said, why don't you write something for us, I was like, yes, I've got some stuff to work with. So the process for writing was a lot of fun. And Dennis was really open with all the music and everything, and the ensemble was great. Before the performance, actually, I got to go to one of the rehearsals 2 weeks before, and that was just great, seeing how they had already worked with my music and could bring so much life to it. And yeah, Dennis is just great, being able to work with all of that and do what he did with it. So I want to say thanks again for giving me that opportunity, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for writing it. I'll say something else that was really great about working with Julian and just getting into this kind of commissioning and premiering process with the band is, because it's a kind of a smaller chamber wind ensemble or chamber band. Some of the larger scores that we like to play, sometimes we have to get a little creative in covering some of the parts. If there's a English horn solo that we don't have, and it's cued in the first clarinet, and so we have the we're kind of putting things together in that way. It was really nice to have the opportunity to have a piece that was specifically written for the exact instrumentation that we have, so we could be sure that everything was being heard exactly as it should be.
I think a week before the rehearsal or something, Dennis shot me an email and was like, hey, would you mind adding a bassoon part to that score or something along those lines? And I remember that part of the experience. I was very excited because it's just another way for the experience to be more personal, and that really interested me.
That's fantastic. Well, is there anything else we need to know before we hear this piece of music?
I should mention it's called Gambit. And I called it that because it's not like showing my music in front of a lot of people is something that I'm getting more and more accustomed to, but there's always a little bit of risk involved, and I thought that having a title that's kind of aware of that, while also kind of being fun, is what I was kind of going for there. And yeah, that's it.
Great. Well, I am happy to share with everyone this encore performance of the world premiere of Julian's composition, Gambit. Enjoy.
Good memories.
Yeah, thanks to you both so much for that. Anything else from either one of you? I do want to say before we go any further, I also want to encourage everyone to visit Julian's website, where you can find out more about him and more of his music and other projects that he has in the works. So I encourage everyone, if you enjoyed what you just heard, to check out more of what he's working on and keep following him. He has a long career ahead of him, so there's much more to come. So thank you again for being here, and thank you, Dennis, for joining us as well and
Sure
for
thing.
sharing this stuff with the band. We look forward to whatever you guys come up with to do in the fall, and we'll be showcasing that in some fashion, I'm sure. And thank you
Yes,
again,
sir.
Julian. Julian, anything more you want to say before we now that we've seen it?
I just want to say thank you again, and I'm excited to put this video on my website now instead of whatever was there before.
Great. Well, we will also make sure you have a copy of just the recording of the piece too, if you don't have that, which feels like you should. So great. Well, thank you both again for being here, and
Sure.
enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Blythe.
Thanks. And thank you, everyone, for watching again this week. Please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are watching on YouTube, or if you aren't watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and find us and subscribe to our channel. There are extra features that unlock once we hit a certain number of subscribers. So while you are there, you can also check out our past episodes of the show. Now, as I promised earlier, I am happy, we're not quite done yet. I am happy to welcome back Kelly one more time before we go. Kelly, good to see you again. Welcome, but thank you for sticking around. Now, to close out our show tonight, we have another piece from you. Please, why don't you tell us a little about this one in particular, and let us know if there's anything specific we need to know about this one.
Okay. This next song, also written by a New York composer, Richard Pearson Thomas, is I Never Saw More, which is based on an Emily Dickinson poem. It's a very short poem. It has a repeat, but it's wonderful because it talks about having faith, and she's relating experiences to nature and also knowing that there's a heaven, and so to have that faith even though we haven't ever seen it before. And I thought this was a great song of hope because we don't know the future, we don't know what's going to happen, and so I think faith in God, faith in humanity, it's important. So this song was introduced to me by one of our students, actually. I heard it in recital, one of Darla Diltz's students, and I just loved it so much I had to buy all the music. So I was so happy to be able to have a first performance for it, albeit on my phone. But it's a great example of storytelling through music and medicine for the soul, and that's what we do as musicians. We take turns, really important, and compose music, and so we have the conscious and the unconscious working together. And I think, especially in a time like this, it's really, really important to be able to share.
Absolutely, and it really is a lovely piece of music, and was when you sent me the two things that you'd recorded, I was like, oh, this is the right thing to have for the end. So I'm happy that we have this here, and I would also say we look forward to having you back in the concert hall and having you back on stage so that we can really properly hear and appreciate your music. Thank you also to Dennis and Julian once again for sharing your performances with us. Thank you for what you put together for us tonight, Kelly. And now please enjoy this one last performance and enjoy the rest of your evenings, everyone. Thank you again for being here, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
And what a wave must be. I never spoke with God, nor visited in heaven, yet certain am I of the thought, as if the charge were given. As if